This video is about applying slopes and y-intercepts of linear equations. The application of slopes and y-intercepts is actually what makes the study of linear equations beneficial or interesting. The example that we're going to work with in this video is, suppose the total cost y of making x coats is given by the formula y equals 30x plus 2300. So it's important to emphasize that the y is standing for total cost, and x is standing for the number of coats. That'll help us as we answer the following questions. Question A, what is the cost of making 200 coats? Well, we remind ourselves that the 200 is the number of coats, so that is the x value. We substitute 200 into the equation we were given. Following the order of operations, we arrive at 8,300. Then we can remember that y stood for the total cost. This tells us we have the information for answering the question. The question was, what is the cost of making 200 coats? The answer is, the cost of 200 coats being made is $8,300. Next question. How many coats can be made for a cost of $3,500? So in this question, we've been given the total cost. The total cost is $3,500, so that's our y value. We substitute $3,500 into the y variable in the equation, and this time we have the variable x that we're solving for. So we solve our equation by subtracting 2,300 from both sides, dividing by 30, and arriving at x equals 10. For the question, how many coats can be made for a cost of $3,500? The answer is 40 coats. We're going to take a look at the y-intercept now. The y-intercept is the value at the end of the equation, since the equation was in slope-intercept form. Now, the value at the very end of the equation was 2,300. So that tells us that the y-intercept is the ordered pair 0, 2,300. Now we're going to interpret that y-intercept. The interpretation of the y-intercept comes from the values in the ordered pair. We remember the 0 stands for x, and x stands for the number of coats. The 2,300 stands for y, and y stood for the total cost. This means when 0 coats are made, the company has costs of $2,300. Now, it may not make sense that a company would have a cost of $2,300 when absolutely no coats are made, but if we think about it, the $2,300 is likely the overhead cost of the building, machines, and employees. Now let's take a look at the slope. For the slope is 30. It was the number in front of x. So sometimes we identify slope with the letter m. So m equals 30. Now let's interpret that slope. Well, it helps to change the 30 into a fraction. Here it says it costs the company $30 to make one coat. So that's the direct interpretation. The following pieces help us know how that happened. I know this because the x values represent the number of coats and the y values represent cost. Slope is expressed as rise over run or change in y over change in x. And we know the 30 as a fraction is 30 over 1. So the 30 is the y value, and for the y values, that was total cost. The 1 is from the x values, and that was the number of coats. So this means $30 is the cost for one coat.